This is February 26, 2014, and we are seeing the beginning of the rain that has been approaching for a few days. And even though the rain is coming down fairly light at the moment, you can see that there's a nice flow of water from the roof. At the back of this property, there is a concrete retaining wall that would tend to make this back area into a puddle that's capable of holding several hundred gallons of water. But on the right-hand side, there's currently a hole in the wall that would basically let all the water run into the neighbor's yard. So what I've done is kind of a first approach to keeping water away from that corner is to just run the garden hose across the backyard. The idea is if we get a substantial flow of water to have it going over towards the left and then go into some other areas of the garden where it will soak in before getting over to the right hand side. At the same time, I can go to the front door and look at the more typical urban situation where the rain is running off thousands and thousands of square feet of hard surface going down into the storm sewer and then out into the ocean to be lost forever. I was watching a video about rain harvesting in an Asian country, and many hundreds of years ago there was a king who declared that not a single drop of rainwater should run to the sea, and I think that'd be a good motto for our time as well. Once you get involved in doing a little more water harvesting yourself, you may find yourself noticing more of what's going on around you. Here we have one of our neighbors who has still the traditional system, which is that water runs off the roof and down into the sewer. Here's the neighbor directly in back of us. You can't see it now, but before these green panels were put on, you could see a setup consisting of about 6 55-gallon drums, and we always wondered what was going on here. The good guess is that this is some combination of gray water and rainwater storage. You can look up above here and see that there is a gutter with a pipe attached to it, and that the pipe runs right down into that place where the barrels were seen previously. And here we have a neighbor to the left who has done the very straightforward thing of putting a pipe on his downspout that runs right out into his yard. I was watching this video by Jeff Lawton, who was one of the godfathers of all this, and he was talking about a project in Amman, Jordan, where they found that the amount of water that ran off the hard surfaces in the city was 4 times the amount of water that people actually used. So there's a huge potential, not only in Amman, Jordan, but I think in almost any city, particularly for any city like San Francisco that's in a somewhat dry area, kind of a desert area, where the rain only falls during a short season. We can definitely extend our water using season a lot just by catching the rainwater that comes off our roofs and streets. I've also heard it said that San Francisco was a city built on hills, and it really is when you drive around. And what this really means right now is that we have an awful lot of infrastructure installed in the way of sidewalks and parking lots and streets and curbs that serve to channel water, but right now they're just channeling it into the sewer system when they could be channeling it into some kind of storage system. So this would be a challenge for our city that hopefully we would take up in the future. We've kind of come to the place where we can no longer take our water supply for granted, which we did for many years. Here's something you might want to look into, which is the lost secrets of Maya technology. It turns out that the Mayas built all of their cities and buildings so that rainwater would drain into cisterns. And they needed this because they also had this kind of intermittent rain supply. And in the end, when they had probably deforested their country and caused a drought, the cities that survived the longest were the ones that had cisterns and cenotes in the northern part of the peninsula. If you go to YouTube and Google things like desert permaculture or permaculture California, you will find some amazing accounts of what people have already done in this area.